Google invented the technology that is destroying Google. That is not a metaphor. That is literally what happened. In 2017, Google researchers published the paper that made ChatGPT possible. They developed the architecture, they trained the engineers, they did the foundational work that the entire AI industry is now built on. And then they sat on it, because deploying it would have threatened their $200 billion advertising business. So OpenAI deployed it instead. And now Google is in the fight of its life against a product built on its own research by people who used to work for it, running on a business model that directly destroys everything Google makes money from. If that sounds insane, it is. And it gets worse from here. Here's the thing most people do not understand about Google. It is not really a technology company. It is an advertising company. Search is the product, ads are the money. For over 2 decades, Google processed more than 8.5 billion search queries every single day. And alongside almost every one of those results, it placed an advertisement. That single mechanism generated nearly $200 billion in annual revenue, representing over 57% of Alphabet's total revenue, according to Seeking Alpha analysis. It is one of the most profitable business models ever constructed. The business model is structurally simple. You search, Google shows ads, you click, Google gets paid. ChatGPT broke that model. OpenAI launched in November 2022. Within 5 days, it had 1 million users. Within 2 months, 100 million. It became the fastest growing web application in human history. Not Facebook, not TikTok, not Instagram. ChatGPT. A product that launched with no marketing budget, no existing user base, and no advertising revenue model at all. And here is why that terrified Google. ChatGPT does not show ads. You ask a question, you get a complete, direct answer. No clicking required, no ad impression, no revenue event for Google. When there is no click, there is no ad impression. When there is no ad impression, there is no revenue. The better the AI answers your question, the more completely it destroys the mechanism that generates Google's $200 billion. That is the trap Google is now sitting in. And it is one of the most extraordinary strategic dilemmas in the history of business. Now, here is the part that makes this story genuinely remarkable. And this is something most people do not know. Google did not get caught off guard by AI. Google invented it. In 2017, a team of Google researchers published a paper titled "Attention is All You Need." That paper introduced the transformer architecture, the technical breakthrough that powers every major large language model operating today. ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, every AI assistant you have ever used traces its technical lineage directly back to work done inside Google's own research division. Google had the research. Google had the talent. Google had more data than any other organization on Earth. Google had every single advantage required to build what OpenAI built. And Google chose not to deploy it. Because doing so would have forced users to stop clicking links, which would have threatened the $200 billion machine. The short-term financial risk of disrupting their own business model was too high. So OpenAI, a company with a fraction of Google's resources, deployed it instead. When Google finally rushed a response to market, the result was damaging. Their AI product, Bard, was launched in early 2023. During the live demonstration, Bard gave an incorrect answer about the James Webb Space Telescope. A basic factual error caught publicly within hours. According to Reuters, Google's market capitalization dropped by $100 billion that day. One wrong answer, $100 billion. In hours. That market reaction was not about a product demo going wrong. It was investors suddenly pricing in the full visibility of Google's vulnerability. The realization that Google was not only behind, but that its core business model had no obvious answer to what ChatGPT represented. Since then, Google has spent billions trying to catch up. Bard became Gemini. AI overviews were embedded at the top of search results. A full conversational AI mode was added. A browser automation agent called Project Mariner was developed. According to data published by Advanced Web Ranking, AI overviews now appear in nearly 50% of Google searches and reach 1.5 billion users monthly across more than 100 countries. But here is the structural problem that none of those products actually solve. And this is the crux of the entire story. According to research by AI search analyst firms, when Google's AI overviews are activated, organic click-through rates for the sites included in results fall by 61%. When Google's full AI mode is activated, 93% of searches end without a single click to an external website. Google is being forced to build the thing that destroys its own revenue model in order to stop a competitor from building it first. That is not a product challenge. That is a business model contradiction. And there is no clean solution. Now look at where the market has already moved. According to data published by First Page Sage in their Q1 2026 market share report, ChatGPT now holds 17 to 18% of global digital query market share. That number was effectively 0 3 years ago. Google retains approximately 80%, but that share has fallen below 90% for the first time since 2015, according to StatCounter data, a milestone that had not occurred in a decade. According to reporting by AdWeightX in January 2026, ChatGPT's weekly active user base has reached 800 to 900 million people, and users spend an average of 13 minutes per session on ChatGPT, compared to just 6 minutes on Google, more than double the engagement time. People are not just asking quick questions, they are working, writing, researching, and building inside AI tools in ways that Google's link-based architecture was simply never designed to support. Publishers are already reporting the financial consequences. According to analysis cited by AdWeightX, publishers across the sector are facing an estimated $2 billion in annual advertising revenue losses as AI overviews answer questions before users click through. A first-place Google ranking that once delivered click-through rates of 20 to 30% on competitive keywords now delivers only 8 to 12%, according to search industry data. And Gartner, one of the world's leading technology research firms, forecasted that traditional search volume would fall 25% by 2026 because of AI chatbots. That forecast may already be conservative. Google's CEO, Sundar Pichai, called 2025 a critical year for the company. That is remarkable language from the leader of a business that has faced almost no meaningful competition in a quarter century. So what does this mean for you? If you use Google for research, for news, for professional work, you are already inside this transition, whether you realize it or not. The way people find information is changing faster than at any point since the internet was invented. And the company that has been the gateway to that information for 25 years is now in a race it did not prepare for, against a threat it helped create, trying to reinvent a business model that is structurally at odds with the technology it needs to deploy to survive. If you advertise online, publish content online, or run a business that depends on search traffic, the 61% click-through rate decline in AI overview searches is not a future risk, it is a present reality. And the 93% zero-click rate in AI mode is the direction that Google itself is moving. Here is the uncomfortable truth at the center of all of this. Google invented the technology powering its biggest competitors. It had every advantage imaginable, and it chose not to use them because the short-term financial risk of disrupting itself was too high. Now it is spending billions trying to catch up to companies that used Google's own published research to build the products Google was too cautious to build. That is not a technology story. That is one of the most significant strategic failures in the history of the technology industry. And the $200 billion question is whether Google can reverse it before the market decides it simply cannot. If this video made you think differently about where the internet is heading, hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. We cover AI, big tech, and the stories behind the decisions shaping all of our futures. Thank you for watching. The next video is one you will not want to miss. I will see you in the next video.